Welcome back to Property Play. I'm your host, Elena Saradidis, and today I'm with Justin Bregman. Did I say your last name right?
Yeah, Bregman.
Bregman.
Is it Bregman?
What? Say it again.
Brag.
Brag? Like we're bragging?
Yeah.
Bregman.
We're bragging? What is bragging?
Like bragging.
No, it's not an A. Not bragging. Brag.
Brag? Men.
Yes.
Brag? Men.
Yeah.
I think we're keeping this take. We're talking all things real estate today. He is what I would say one of the most known, can I say that, agents in the city? Like, I feel like there's a handful of us.
Maybe.
I feel like there is.
I feel like I'm less known, but
okay, no. I feel like when you're actually doing transactions, there's a handful of agents, and I'm going to get so much hate for this, but there's a handful of agents that actually produce volume and are of a certain age range.
Correct.
Like, we don't have gray hair yet. Maybe we have a little bit of gray hair, but we dye it. It's fine. You have a little on the side. It's coming.
From the business.
But no, but it's different. Like, there's not a lot of young powerhouse agents, and I would say we're one of a few. Like, there's a handful.
Definitely. But within the agent industry, from agent to agent, yes, we all know who are the young top producers for sure.
Yeah.
Under 35.
Yeah, under 35.
Yeah.
So we'll say under 35, and I don't want to say still producing it, but producing
Under
a volume
33.
of real
I
estate.
can say under 33.
Okay, under 33. Is that how old you
Yeah,
are?
we're okay. I'm 32. So are we okay?
So, yeah.
I know you're younger. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also got my birthday wrong yesterday.
No.
No, because I had this conversation with someone, and now like I'm being exposed for this. But when I was younger in real estate, because I started at 22,
Yeah.
I'd round up my age.
Right.
So like if people asked me how old I was, I would just like tell them an age.
Yeah.
And then eventually I was like, did I forget my age? So I was sitting there at a dinner with all of my agents the other day, and they were like, how old are you again? And I told them the age, and I was like, is that accurate? And then I Googled this, and Google was wrong. And Google made me think that I had an extra year.
What?
No, it like said that I was turning, now I'm going to say my age. I was turning 28, but I'm not. I'm turning 29. And like we had a whole discussion about this.
Okay.
It said that I was turning 28. And I'm like, oh my God, guys, one more year before I turned 30. Like I gained an extra year. Then we all discovered it was wrong.
Right.
OpenAI was wrong. I'm not turning 28. I'm turning 29. And then I got sad again.
Wild. Okay.
Like, that was the story of my age. But let's bring it back to real estate.
Okay.
Let's talk a little bit about what you're seeing in the market right now.
Ugliness, blood. It's rough out there. I mean, I like things are great for us, our team. Everything's doing amazing. But from a real estate standpoint for clients, struggles. I mean, I don't know kind of where you feel your business is at, if it's kind of grown with your age and clientele. But everybody trying to upgrade right now doesn't really have the equity that they could pull out of their current place and make that move. And it's becoming such a challenge.
So what I would say is there is a bunch of different segments of the market that are experiencing different things. There's some segments that are extremely like it's a buyer's market, and there's some that are still a seller's market, but it really depends on what the product is, where it's located, and that kind of drives it all. But I'm finding that a lot of people are lifestyle movers right now. No one's just choosing to sell for the sake of choosing to sell.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you're on the market right now, there has to be a reason why you're on the market. There's no testing the market.
Yes.
And what you're saying about like upsizers not being able to find properties, it is hard. And like that price point is still active. We had a client that was searching in like Summerhill area. Budget's around 3 mil. Like in that area, you can find something.
Yeah.
Everything was moving so quick. If like it's a good product on a good street, like it's sold.
For sure.
And the way I had to position it to them and to their parents was, in this pocket, you're on the lower end of what you can buy. But if we move a pocket over, you're on the highest end of what you can buy. And in that pocket, you can get everything that you want. So like there has to be a little bit of flexibility if you have to move, or if you're deciding that right now you want to get into the market.
Yeah. And people are going to continue to move. Look, at the end of the day, people's lifestyle, they want to grow, they want to have a family, etc. There's going to be those motivations out there. And I think that, a lot of it right now with clients is looking at, the bigger picture and the better picture, I should say, of like, a few years ago, maybe you had more equity in your property, but the delta between that jump was so much further than it is right now, right? Like you're in a window right now where you can move from that condo or condo townhouse to that freehold for a much smaller amount. You might be able to, like you said, get a better neighborhood, better school district, etc. That you ever would have thought you would have been able to do a few years ago.
And I think that's the point that a lot of people get stuck in their head. Like, my neighbor sold for X amount of money. I can't believe I'm selling for less than them, but you're also buying for less. And the buying for less is where you're gaining so much more value because you wouldn't have been able to get it. Even if you wait, and I'm sure you've had clients say this, well, what if I just wait and the market will get better and I'll sell my house for more? I'm like, you will sell for more, but you'll also buy for more. That's how the market works. So like, does it make more sense for you to wait an extra year, get an extra 100,000, but you're also buying now for $500,000 more? Does it make more sense? So like, that's the part that a lot of,
and we just spoke about this before about like, you said the last 3 comps for the next 3 listings that I just sold, but these were 3 sellers that literally last fall had discussions with me about, should I sell now? They didn't like the prices of where the market was at. They waited from last fall to this spring. Well, it's only worse.
Yeah.
And so waiting doesn't always help. I always say, what is your plan when you do waiting? What does waiting mean? When does the waiting end? Does it end when you see higher prices? And then that means you have to spend more when you want to buy as well. I love how people obviously know that we're not in a great seller's market right now. Well, if you're a buyer, what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for the prices to go back up? Like, what is that wait?
I think what buyers are waiting for, and this sounds bad, but every single buyer is trying to time the market.
Right.
And they're like, I think it might go lower. And you know what? It might. It might actually get worse.
Yeah.
But we don't know when the property that fits all your criteria is going to hit the market. And if it already hit and now we can't find it, your property doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
And holding it long term, you're always going to make money. Like, I'm going to say this right now. Anyone that buys a condo, I will bet money. Anyone that buys a condo right now in 2028, 2029, 2030 is going to be so happy that they did, because we're going to have a lack of inventory and people are going to be like, what do we have?
Yeah. Did you see the stats this morning? Like 35 total pre-construction sales happened in the entire GTA. I think it was 350 total freehold homes that have sold. No one is buying any pre-construction right now. There's going to be a huge supply shortage coming, like you said, in 3 to 5 years. It's a huge problem because no new product is going to be built. No new product is being sold right now. All this inventory is going to be scooped up. There is going to be some immigration that comes through as well over the next 3 to 5 years. It's going to be, really turning again to a seller's market. And if you own a property or purchase a property in the short term here, you're going to be laughing in the long term.
Yeah. And right now, interest rates are also falling below 4.
Yeah.
People are getting that.
Oh, yeah.
So like, we're getting into a really good market if you are a buyer. And also, if you're a seller, don't think no one's out there shopping. Like, we're still doing transactions. Things are still moving. You just can't cut corners. And the funny thing is, the properties he's mentioning, I have this thing, and I'm sure you do this too. Every time an agent has a conversation with me, my first question is, what do you have coming? Because I want to know the inventory that hasn't hit the market yet.
Right.
Because we're able to do some off-market deals or get our clients into properties before they hit the market. And I was on vacation a week and a half ago, and Justin and I had our first ever actual convo, because we've been in passing.
Because
we've been like,
vacation is time to have 45-minute calls about work.
100%.
That's usually the best time to do.
100%. In the middle of multiple negotiations, we had a 45-minute discussion while I was looking at the water. It was great. But the first thing I asked was, what do you have coming? And he's listing these properties. And I was like, you're going to love me. And he's like, why? And I'm like, I'm your comp. Like, look up this listing, look up this listing, look up this listing. And I'm like, every single one, I actually benchmarked what your sale is going to be. And he's like, this sounds great. I looked it all up and he's like, oh yeah, you're right. You were the last sale. I'm like, yeah, I know the neighborhood. We're shopping still. We're still selling real estate. But if you're pricing it strategically, you're selling. If you're not pricing it strategically, you're not.
Yes.
And that's where, like, there has to be a little bit of flexibility on the seller's end as well, on knowing that you priced it well, sometimes holding off. And this sounds so bad because my clients are going to listen to this and be like, I'm not going to take the first offer. But sometimes it works to your benefit. Like, I had a listing the other day, and we're not going to talk about the actual listing address because it's going to get me in trouble. But we had a listing up on the market. For 15 days, we had no showings. We had one showing. That one showing brought us an offer. And my client was like, I don't feel like we should take the offer. This is the first time that's like 15 days, no showings. You'd be like, we need a price adjustment.
Yeah,
we need to redo something. But we were priced strategically. There was just no one coming out. Another 15 days pass. One more person sees it. That person brings us an offer higher than the first. The odds of that happening in any market is really rare. And they were like, see, we held out and we won. And I'm like, the chances of that happening, though, are so slim to none.
Yeah.
And the amount that they got that were more was about 5 to 10K.
Right.
It's not record-breaking amount, but it was, are you willing to gamble? And that's the conversation I had with them when the first offer came in, is I know where we can kind of land, and will you gamble for 5 to 10K? And their answer was, I would. So we did. But there's other clients that I've had the exact same conversation. We got offers on, and I'm like, I think that if we did a price adjustment, the worst case scenario, you clear this. And I'm like, their number to this number is 5 to 10K different. I'm like, do you want to do that where we do a price exchange, like a price drop, and we do this, or take the bird in the hand? And they're like, well, we'd rather take the offer that we currently have and not wait an extra month and see what happens. So like having an agent that actually guides you through this is worth its weight in gold right now. Like properties are moving.
Well, that's a big thing, right? And this is, I was golfing last week, and we just, I don't know if you're a golfer at all, but have you ever golfed?
Oh my God. Okay. Let me tell you. So we're getting off track and then we'll get back on track. I sponsored a golf tournament.
Okay.
Like this month. Played my first ever golf game.
How'd you do?
The highest score wins, right?
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that.
So look, I did it more to have fun with the people that I'm with. It was one of my clients that was helping host it. So it was a different kind of conversation, but we had a great time. I played golf for the first time, and then I had a tea time on Wednesday at 5. So apparently now I'm a golfer. If you ever want to go on a golf course, I only know how to use 2.
How many drinks per hole?
That's a long story.
Okay.
I'm like, now we're getting so sidetracked, but I only know how to use 2 of the clubs.
Okay.
And I was like, I actually think I'm going to get so crucified for this because I have friends that golf, but I'm like, I think the whole golfing industry made up these whole things with other golfing clubs just to make more money. You really just need...
No, it's the... No. Come on.
I played the whole game.
It's all
with
the finesse.
2 clubs.
That's insane.
The whole game.
No. But
yeah.
So anyway,
I might have needed to tee up everything too. So like...
Yeah. Okay.
He's not taking me golfing is what we realized after this. I'm going to have to go to training.
Talk about time here. Like, I mean, golf is long enough at 4 hours. We're not looking for an 8-hour round with the way you tee everything up. But...
Oh my God. Okay.
Anyways,
so you were playing golf.
We got paired up with it. No, I was just back to what you were saying. Is we got paired up with another group, and they're like, what do you guys do for a living? And I'm like, a realtor. And whatever. They're like, oh, it must be really tough these days. That's the perception right now of the public of like thinking about like realtors must not be making any money right now. They, a lot of them are dropping out, and the reality is a lot are dropping out. But fortunately for people like you and I, we're actually taking over a lot more market share.
Yeah.
Because in a time like this, it takes a lot more work, a lot more energy, a lot more sales tactics, a lot more marketing to be able to get our clients exactly what they want on either side, whether we're hunting for off-market stuff because there's a lot of crap that's kind of sitting on the market right now, or we're trying to help and sell properties and stand out amongst the 7,000 others that are currently for sale. We're fortunately having a lot of success, and, more success than I would say I've had in past years. And that's a testament to both of our businesses really growing through this as we see most of the part-time, less obviously, qualified agents that are slowly dropping out of the business.
Well, I'd also say there was a period to like, I've talked to a lot of agents, and a lot of agents have told me that they scaled back on marketing, on staging, on whatever. And I'm like, this is not the market to do that.
Yeah.
Because if you actually want the product to sell, you need to be doing everything and then praying that it sells, as opposed to you doing nothing and praying that it sells.
Right.
And I've had this conversation with agents being like, I didn't want to spend the money on staging because the odds that it sells is low. And I'm like, but the odds are even worse if you don't stage. Like, at least stage it, make it look presentable, and then move it. So I'm like very much a believer in staging. I don't know how you run yours,
more.
but even when there's furniture, I'm like, remove it all and we're staging.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you're better off having the place be completely empty than having a complete cluttered mess. But staging obviously is the go-to here. And for sure, if you know the market's tough, you know your home's going to be challenging to sell, why make it even tougher on yourself by having your place look, in its worst state?
And we're not saying you don't live great. We should make that very clear. Everyone lives amazing, but the way you list is not the way you live. And like, if you came over to my house today, or I'm sure if I came over to your house today without any pre-warning and I walked in, you'd probably be like, you should have at least given me an hour to shove everything in the closet.
Correct.
Like, that's how everyone lives. This is not like people walk into homes and they're like, I can't believe people live like this. And I'm like, they don't. We've told them what they need to do to position the property properly. Yeah. Like, even the simplest thing, like empty your closet by 30%. Like, do you tell people to do that?
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, when your closet
is just as if not more important than the actual staging. You need to get all of your craft and depersonalize the property and get everything that's going to be a distraction to the eye. I mean, we've probably laughed a million times about some people's photos online that are with, cell phone pictures. You got pictures of like, dogs or somebody. Like I saw one time, like you got a random guy with his shirt off in the background of a picture.
The best is the agent in the photo when they're taking a photo of the bathroom and they're in the mirror. I'm like, so recently, very well-known brokerage, like very well-known agent, very well-known brokerage. And I would say like they're in a different league. Like they're selling insanely beautiful homes. And I go to look at the photos and there's snow still in the first photo.
I have those too, yeah.
And I'm like, but we have AI now. Like remove the snow. We have ways of digitally editing. Just send another photographer. Like the price point is that high. Or like, how did no one think to make the bed, like make the bed for staging as opposed to just throw on your, before it hit MLS. A property popped up today because I'm constantly monitoring the market. Like I have a problem. It's $5.5 million. And I was swiping through the photos and the photos are blurry. Like you can't even see it.
It's like we're selling somebody's, most likely their largest ever asset. And we are obviously got to do everything we can to get them the most amount of money for that asset. And when you see people out there that aren't putting anywhere near the amount of money or energy or time into these things, how do you as a seller feel that that person is working in your best interest? Like it's just...
Can I ask you a question? And now we're getting more personal. Yeah. How much on average are you spending per listing you're putting out?
Depends on the price point, but like bare minimum, $3,000 to $5,000 a listing at least. Bare minimum. Like, but I mean, the crazy part is, so you probably agree, or maybe even more. But if you ask that question to the average realtor, it's got to be under $500.
No,
for sure.
So mine's actually worse, which maybe I need to relook at all my numbers now because you're telling me 3 to 5, and I know your success level. I spend almost 6 to 12 million, not million, 6 to 12,000 per listing.
I was going to say, what kind of debt are we here?
Enduring, oh my God, no. 6 to 12,000 per listing. And again, it depends on what it actually needs. But on average, that's what we're spending because we are doing everything to make sure that you have the highest chance of actually selling.
Right.
Like I had a client the other day, and they're going to see this too. I always talk about my clients. Be careful what you do in front of me. But basically, they sent me an email saying my brother's cousin, sister's friend, whatever, can do it for 1%.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've gotten those emails
Love
too.
Those. Yeah.
The unfortunate thing is, and again, this comes with experience in the industry and years in the industry, because there was a point in time that I don't think I knew how much I spent on my listings. And I probably would have been like, okay, whatever, like, we'll figure it out. You're brand new, you're green, you don't know how much is actually entailed in listing a home. But based on the number I spend, I actually can't do it at that. Like it's not possible.
Yeah, of course.
And also, we also still need to make a living. And the amount of hours actually entailed in finding the property, that's the thing people don't talk about. Like I could be working with someone for 2 years before I find their perfect home. How many hours did we actually work on it? Like, were we actually making $12 an hour? And it does happen sometimes that like we're actually in the negative because of how much we did. But our goal is to make sure you get the best property possible. Sometimes that's not available right now. Sometimes we're knocking every day on every single street of like the property that you actually like.
The amount of people think that some people think this, I should say, not everybody, but that you just take a few pictures, put it on MLS, sit on the couch, have a drink, it's a beautiful boardroom here, and wait for an offer to come in. It's just not the case. I mean, people don't realize behind the scenes the amount of hours are spent before the property even gets listed, between obviously your entire marketing campaign, talking about planning out your marketing materials, open houses, door knocking the neighborhood. I mean, it's endless what people can really be doing to be able to get proper listings. The amount of times because now obviously what's going on in this market, the amount of times I've called the last 10 or 15 agents of listings that I think are the comparables and tried to ask them, can you give me your full list of buyer showings so I can call all these agents to be able to make sure that we have a lineup and everything of people that are going to come see the home at the beginning. Because as you know right now, it's tough to even get showings, let alone offers on some of these listings. How do you line everything up to make sure that we're doing every single possible thing to get our clients' property sold in the fastest way for the most amount of money?
Yeah.
It's so different. 2022, it was a whole different ballgame. You didn't need to do any of these things.
No, you put it on the market and it's sold.
Correct.
And like, I think people and the media makes it really hard for agents to actually show their value because of shows like Selling Sunset and $1 Million. Like it doesn't show the work that actually went behind the scenes. And I actually think it's more entertaining because we come to the office and we're like, you wouldn't believe what happened today or what we actually had to do today. Or like we were back-to-back showings, and all of a sudden, like, a property popped up that our clients like, but their house is not ready. And we need to know their house can sell before they can buy this. So now drop everything. We need to prep their house. And in the middle of a long weekend where half the people are on the cottage, me on the phone begging contractors to come to the home away from their cottage and their family to quote it and start the job.
Yeah.
Like, they don't see that.
Right.
Like, pulling every favor in the book, being like, listen, like, I promise you the next 3 jobs. Like, you need to come do this now, though. Like, come.
Do you remember a few years ago, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, that like I was in the media with that listing in Mississauga that had 85 offers on it? That crazy one?
I remember that.
And yeah, and everyone's like, oh, this agent's like wasting everyone's time here, getting 85 offers. Me wasting people's time? You should have my seller in the room here that was like, how the heck did you get me 85 offers? You're a hero. Look at the amount of, we had 300 showings in a week. Our job as a listing agent is to do one thing. It's to get our client the most amount of money possible. They were thrilled with that. I'd argue, and I think that a lot of those people are out of the business now, but I'd argue, why did 84, probably 80 of these offers of these agents bring their clients to a property that they had no chance of buying because they were completely off on the market value?
What I think people don't realize with offer dates, and it is a market, like, it's a marketing plan. I'm sure you have sellers that push back on, like, I want to list it at this number. And they're like, well, if you list it at this number, how am I going to get this?
Right.
And you're like, it's a marketing number. Our goal is not to sell it for this. We're going to get more, but we need people to actually come in the door.
Yes.
So we have a chance of selling it at that. Or we price higher and we wait and do a price reduction and wait until finally someone buys it.
Right.
But we have one shot of being the fresh new thing on the market. And I'm a believer in offer dates before you like list it at the number that you want.
Yes.
As opposed to the opposite way of like, you've listed it at what you want and now you're trying an offer night. It doesn't
fresh,
work.
You've never shown your card.
Exactly. Now everyone's like, oh, that's what they want. I won't even show it. But as a buyer agent, you see the property your client wants to see because everyone emails it over. Look at the comps. How many calls did you get for that house? Being like, what do you actually want?
Yeah, everybody. And
you're like, did you look on the street?
We are paying you as a buyer's agent a commission to do your job, which is to look at the comps, bring your qualified buyer, and provide a fair market value offer. That's it.
So I do ask, I'm not going to say I never do this, but I do ask, is there a certain comp in the neighborhood that you're looking at?
Right.
Like, have your clients benchmarked something?
Yeah, it's a great
because
question.
I want to know that, oh my God, if that house sold for X amount and that house is lesser, that house is better, that house is whatever, like, how does it comp with what they put in their head that they want at least?
Right.
Like, I can see all the comps, but I'm sure there's one because every seller's like, everyone underpriced it and they sold for less, but that one house that's down the street that's sold.
Everyone loves the outlier.
But I want to know. Like, I had an agent the other day being like, why can't my house be the outlier? Why can't my house sell for X amount? And I'm like, the odds of someone buying your house because you're the outlier is really rare.
Right.
I have a buyer for you. Work with me. Like, let's get this done. But I like this market, and this sounds bad. I like it because people actually have to work again. Like, we're negotiating again. It's an actual conversation. Like, there's actual skill required in this. Before there wasn't. Like, you could list it and sell it, and you could list it with your cousin's brother, sister, friend, whatever, and it would sell.
Right.
And now I find that sellers are more receptive to my methods as opposed to before, because they're like, oh, it actually works. They're actually still selling real estate.
Yeah.
And like, I'm sure you're busier than ever because people are now reaching out to you being like, you're still selling real estate. I have people crying about not being able to sell real estate.
Busier, and I'm sure you get this too. Never more than now have I gotten people that are terminating with their current realtor, and like I'm taking over listings.
Yeah.
Like that's so. I never used to have that before because realistically, properties would just sell. They would sell on the first try. The amount of listings that we're seeing that are not, and I'm coming in now as the second or third agent being called in, from referrals from clients or whatever. I heard you're amazing, Justin. Would love to work with you. Like we
heard you can get it actually sold. Right. Can you please help me sell it?
Exactly. We haven't had success with, and I'm like in these conversations too. It's not even like we haven't had success selling it. I'm like, my first question is, how many showings have you had? And they're usually like none. Like, and people are expecting now, like in the first showing, they're going to get an offer. Like that's not how this. Like it's going to take. I don't know what you find, but I find like average is like around 8 showings or so. 8 to 10 brings an offer.
I think now 8 to 10 brings an offer. When the market was hot, it was 15 to 20.
Okay.
So I found there was a disconnect because I think more people were shopping. Not as many people were putting offers. I think the people that are going out right now actually want to buy. No one's just window shopping for fun. Like if I'm shopping, I'm shopping.
Right.
Like other times when the market was extremely hot, they were like, let's see everything. And then we'll eventually pull the trigger on one. But there were so many options and everything was moving fast. Now it's like we're very strategic. These are the 4 we want to see. One of them we're putting in an offer. So I think people are a lot more serious now than they were before if they're looking to buy. Are you finding that or no?
Like I would say that for sure on showings that I would say that, but I also would say that like the reality is I think a lot of these places, they need more showings to be able to produce these offers. And it's hard to stand out if you're not, like, especially in the condo market, if you are not priced at a point where you're a deal. Otherwise, you got to be something unique. You got to be a hard loft. You got to be unique. You got to be something like that that doesn't come out very often, or you got to be a real deal. And a deal has got to be at least 5 to 7% below the last comp.
And I would also say from the seller's agent perspective, you also play a role in making sure that person brings you an offer versus someone down the street or someone in the building or someone whatever. But it's your ability to connect with the agent and actually bring them in that it can actually produce a good result. Like I had Dave on last week.
Yeah.
And we were having a conversation and I'm like, I am their best friend. I'm like, you want to do a deal with me. Like, I'm the agent you want to do a deal with. Forget about the rest of the properties that you saw. Like, bring me an offer. And they'll be like, okay, like I'll bring them back. I'm like, yeah, bring them back and let's try and do a deal. And okay.
If you say that to Dave or I, we'd be in for sure.
And if I can't do a deal with you, then like go for the other one. They're still there. There's nothing, but do a deal with me first because we need to sell the product. I don't just list to list. Our goal is to sell the property for the most amount of money in the least amount of time. If you're the buyer hunting and you're hunting for all of the properties around you, I want you to come to my listing first. I want you to try and negotiate with me first. I only have a certain set of buyers that are looking out there.
Right.
Like, I want them to work with my sellers and me.
Yeah.
So me convincing the agent to come back, and Dave called me afterwards and he's like, I literally called the last 3 agents that saw one of my listings, harassing them to bring me an offer, and I'm getting 2 offers now. And I'm like, yeah, it works. Like, you just telling them, like, just come and we'll work with you. Just come. Let's get this deal done.
Dave and I mean, we compare all the time about also like holding offers. Do we hold offers? Do we not? Dave, I think last week he held offers, didn't sell, and just kept the price. Didn't relist it, change everything. Eventually got it done. He's just like, we're just going to get everybody to just keep going through until we get this number, until we get the offers. Because really right now, that's the strategies are endless, but they're also like, it's all about trial and error because you never know in this market what's going to, like, no, as you said, some things just aren't making sense, but it's just whatever gets the job done.
Okay, well, we're bringing back Justin next week. Thank you so much. This was Property Play. If you like content like this, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe.